shorter, y'all, so I've got to bring this down to me. For those of y'all who do not know me, I'm Sherayne Maready. I have 2 daughters that are addicts. I have one daughter in prison, in Raleigh Central Prison, and I have another daughter who is home. She does have a house. She's living with her boyfriend, who is also an addict. Both of them are the boyfriend and my daughter, which her name is Brooke. They were on Suboxone. Now they have gone back to the methadone clinic. Makes no sense to me. But if that's what they need to help them not go back to heroin or meth or whatever else drug, then I'm okay with that. Like I said, Brittany, let me step back a second. Brooke, she was always the one who was the youngest, who hid everything. I really didn't know a whole lot about her addiction until recently, about 2 years ago. I knew she was doing something. I just didn't know how often or how bad it was. Now, Brittany, on the other hand, she's blunt, she's open. She comes to me about everything, whether I like it or not. And I've always told my kids to make sure that you come to me and talk to me about whatever. It didn't matter if it was bad or good, that I would always be there and we would get through it together. Sometimes I wish I hadn't said that. But it is what it is. I wrote down my stuff that I want to say because I've been very stressed out as a mom, and it's hard for me to remember everything I wanted to say. So, and this is my first time speaking about my children's addiction because I was that mom who didn't want to talk about it because I was afraid people would look at me and point their finger and say, oh my God, she's got daughters that are addicts. You know, so bear with me. Okay. I'm going to start by saying this. Many people don't understand why or how other people become addicts to drugs. I don't even understand it myself. And they mistakenly think that those who use drugs lack moral principles, willpower, and that they could stop their drug use simply by choosing to. And in reality, drug addiction is a complex disease according to what researchers say. And quitting usually takes more than just good intentions or strong will. Drugs change the brain in many ways that make quitting hard, even those who want to quit. The hardest part for me is to comprehend someone who relapses. They stay clean or in recovery and know what they have been through in their past, and they go right back to the same thing again. And I don't know why they would want to put themselves in that position. But according to researchers, they say that addiction is a chronic disease characterized by drug seeking and use that is compulsive or difficult to control despite harmful consequences.
Come on.
The initial disease to take drugs is voluntary for most people because they get around the wrong crowd of people, they're influenced, they get out in the world, And most of the time, somebody's like, here, take this joint, hit it. It's voluntary for you to take it.
Come on.
It's your choice to start with. But then they say that repeated drug use can lead to brain changes that challenge an addict's person's self-control and interfere with their ability to resist intense urges to take drugs. These brain changes can be persistent, which is why drug addiction is considered a relapsing disease. People in recovery from drug use disorders are at increased risk for returning to drug use even after years of not taking the drug. And with the right treatment, people stay clean and live productive lives. So, we've tried rehabs, we've tried everything with both my children, and nothing's worked. Like, especially for Brittany. Like, I don't even know how to explain what I've been through with Brittany. I'm going to tell you some of it's going to be in graphic detail, some of it's not. And I'm going to try to be as real as I can be without being sounding ugly as it can be. So, I've been dealing with addiction for 9 years in my life. I'm an addict because my kids are addicts. When Brittany was 17, probably even younger than that, and even Brooke, because Brittany's the oldest, her and Brooke started experimenting with marijuana. They were sneaking out the bedroom windows, getting up with the crowd around the neighborhood. They would go and they'd smoke marijuana, sneak back in before daylight. And this was at 9, 10 years old. And I just recently found out about that because me and her dad are separated, and they were living with their dad when they were younger. I'm not knocking him because it's not his fault. We're all parents. We do the best we can to raise our kids, and they can be rebellious. We all know that if you have children, especially in a broken home, because they play each other. They'll come to you and say, well, I want to stay with you because he's mean, or this is going on over there and I don't like that. Or then they'll get tired over there and they'll say, or over here, and they'll say, well, I don't like what you're saying, so I'm going to go back to my dad's house. Back and forth, and that doesn't do any good for anybody. So, Brooke was, like I told you earlier, Brooke was better at hiding her addiction than Brittany. And after several overdoses for Brooke, and she's got 5 children, she's lost all of her children. She's a felon. She was a felon at 16 years old. She was with an ex-boyfriend, but a boyfriend at the time. He broke into this house, or not house, but a shop, workshop. She was in the car, supposedly. And just by her being there, she got the same charges as he got. And now she's a felon at 16 years old. And that's been with her all her life. And yes, sometimes she uses that as a crutch. I can't get a job because I'm a felon. Well, that's not true, because there is places out here that hires people that are felons. And she has one excuse after the other excuse after the other excuse why she can't get a job for this, that reason, or the other. But anyway, so then, after the last time Brooke overdosed, I was not there. Michael was there. That's her boyfriend. He was telling me that they were in his house, they were in the bedroom, and she shot up heroin and passed out on the bed and turned bluish gray before he could get her back. He had to hit her with Narcan 3 times before he could even get her back. And I found that out a week after the overdose happened, not the same day. So, with all that going on, she decided on her own, and I'm praying that that's what it is, but she decided on her own to go get the help. She went to the Suboxone Clinic, got kicked out of Suboxone Clinic, went back to Suboxone, got kicked out again, went back. During this whole time, supposedly, she's been clean on Suboxone. I found out yesterday that they are not on Suboxone anymore. They've gone to the methadone clinic. I explained that to y'all earlier. So, I'm not happy about it, but like I said, if it works for them to keep them off of heroin or drugs, then I'm okay with it for now. So now we're going to get into what Brittany is, what I've been through with Brittany, because Brittany was my firstborn. No, I don't have partiality over my kids. I love both my kids the same.
Amen. Come on.
But Brittany has been more open about her addiction, way more than I wanted her to sometimes, because she don't hold anything back. She'll tell me what it is, how it is, and that's the way it is. So, I live in fear every day that I'm going to get the call. And if you're an addict's mom, you know what the call is that I'm talking about. Addiction affects the whole family. And I say especially mothers, because they are our babies. We carried them for 9 months.
Amen.
Not that a father don't love your child as much as we do, but we felt the pain of having them. And we still feel the pain of every pain that they go through now. So that's why I say, especially mothers, we're supposed to be able to protect our child and our children. And like I said, I've been through everything with Brittany. I'll be in the middle of the night and I'll get a phone call. I run to her house in the middle of the night to find her so high that she can't, or she doesn't have a clue where she's at. Finding her laying on the floor blue in her bathroom on the floor. Me doing CPR, bringing her back. That's the first time. One night she came to mine of my husband's house, and I don't know what she was on. I want to say it was meth, but I can't be 100% sure what it was. But she was all over the place. I mean, she had the jerks. She was hallucinating. She hadn't been asleep in 4 or 5 days. And all I can remember is laying on the couch with her and putting my body on top of her. And her jerking while she's laying there trying to sleep. And I'm praying to let her still breathe till the next morning. I go to the jail and bail her out because she has wrecked not 1 car, not 2, not 3, but 5 cars in 3 months under the influence of drugs. Not alcohol, but heroin, because she's passed out under the wheel. Me and my husband sleeping with our clothes on and our shoes right beside our bed and the phone on our pillow waiting for the next phone call of when we got to get up, throw our shoes on and run out the door in the middle of the night. We had been doing that for about 6 years. Their drug of choice had turned to heroin and meth. Brittany finally got put on probation, and then she got violated and she was sent to prison for 2 years. And I said, okay, finally I get a break. I can rest easy, I know where she's at, I ain't got to worry about if she's dead somewhere, if she's overdosed anywhere. I'm resting easy. But when she gets to prison, she's still using drugs. but she's using Suboxone. When she comes home, she comes and stays with me and my husband. Second day she's home, she starts using heroin again. After 2 years of being clean on Suboxone, she starts using heroin again. She failed the drug test, and so then that's when they put her on her monitor for her ankle. But right before that, no, they did. They put her on her monitor for her ankle. And she was getting in the shower and I heard this loud noise in my bathroom. And I went in there, and this is the first time she fell across the sink. And she had nodded out. I thought she had overdosed, but at that time she had just nodded out. And I tapped her on the arm and I said, "Brittany, wake up." And when she woke up, there was a needle sitting in my sink where she had just shot up before she got